In 637 CE, an Islamic army stood outside the gates of Jerusalem. The city had been in Byzantine Christian hands for over 300 years. The walls were fortified. The population was nervous. Everyone expected what conquest usually looked like: siege, bloodshed, forced conversion, religious sites destroyed or claimed by the new rulers. Instead, something completely different happened. A man named Umar ibn al-Khattab arrived. He was the second Caliph of Islam, the supreme military and religious leader. He rode into the city on a camel, and then he did something that stopped everyone in their tracks. When he reached the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the most sacred site in Christianity, the patriarch offered him entry to pray. The church was his now, by right of conquest. He could have prayed there. He could have claimed it. He could have done what every other conquering power in history had done. Instead, he walked outside and prayed in the courtyard. He refused to pray in the church. His reasoning was direct. If he prayed inside the church, future Muslims would point to that moment and claim the church as an Islamic site. They would take it from Christians, so he deliberately didn't. He made the choice that prevented that future. That single decision shaped everything that came after. What Umar did next was equally important. He issued a written covenant, a document guaranteeing the rights and safety of Jerusalem's Christian population. Christians could keep their churches. They could worship freely. They would not be forced to convert. They would not be enslaved. In return, they would pay a tax, like other non-Muslim subjects in Islamic territory. But their religion, their holy sites, their community would be protected. This wasn't common practice. This wasn't the empire-building playbook. Empires took what they conquered. They assimilated populations or displaced them. They claimed sacred sites as spoils of war. Umar did the opposite. Now, here's what makes this story actually significant. Jerusalem wasn't just any city. It was the third holiest site in Islam, after Mecca and Medina. Muslims believed the Prophet Muhammad had been taken there on a night journey. The rock at the center of the Temple Mount was the place where Muslims believed Muhammad ascended to heaven. This wasn't a peripheral religious interest. This was central. Yet Umar walked into that city and made a choice that prioritized the religious autonomy of Christians over maximum Islamic control. He had the military power to do otherwise. He chose restraint. Rome, by contrast, was never touched. The Islamic world never sought to conquer Rome itself. Yes, Islamic armies expanded across North Africa and into Spain. Yes, there were naval conflicts in the Mediterranean. But Rome, as the seat of the Catholic Church, was never targeted for conquest the way Jerusalem was targeted and then carefully handled. Why? Because Rome didn't hold the same religious significance for Muslims. The strategic calculation was different. Jerusalem was a pilgrimage site, a holy city in Islamic theology. Rome was the center of a rival religion, but not a sacred site in Islamic tradition, so the approach was different. What this reveals is something deeper than just military history or religious tolerance. It shows how Islamic power actually operated in its formative period. Modern empires, ancient empires, medieval Christian kingdoms, they all operated on a simple principle. You conquered territory, you claimed its resources, you controlled its religion. The colonizer's religion becomes dominant. The colonized religion becomes subordinate or disappears. Umar's decision in Jerusalem broke that pattern entirely. He separated military conquest from religious possession. You can hold the city, you can hold the political power, and you can still choose not to claim the holy sites of other faiths. This wasn't naive idealism. It was strategic genius. When you allow people to keep what matters most to them, they're far less likely to rebel. When you guarantee their sacred places will remain sacred, you stabilize your rule. When you make a covenant and stick to it, word spreads. Other cities, faced with the choice of siege or surrender, knew what surrender under Islam actually meant. The historical record shows Jerusalem remained a city where Muslims, Christians, and Jews coexisted for centuries after that moment. There were tensions, absolutely. There were conflicts. But the basic framework that Umar established held. Christians kept their churches. Muslims built their mosques nearby. The city remained sacred to all three faiths because Umar made it clear that conquest didn't mean erasure. That's not how power usually works. That's why people remember it. Rome was never touched because Rome wasn't theologically necessary to Islam, but Jerusalem was transformed not through annexation of its holiness, but through protection of it. The keys went to the Christians because Umar refused to take them. And in that refusal, he did something far more impressive than conquest. He proved that power could be exercised differently.